So when it is hot, you get incredible concentrations of eddies down here. Off they go. Big games to be had. Oh, now the ducks are giving themselves a bath. Come on, do it again. And preening and prepping the feathers. And hopefully they do another. There we go. Splish splash. Wendy is wondering, all those elephants, is it one herd or one family or not? No, there's multiple families, lots and lots of different families out on the swamp today. Lots and lots of ellies. Now, I promised I was going to show you the brightest or the most colourful critter I'd seen out there. So that is a baby rhinoceros viper. They lose that electric coloration when they get older. There we go. I took that photo in the rainforests of Gabon. They are absolutely stunning. Gorgeous, isn't it? And then Jamie was told me to show you about the tree hyraxes. Yes, we do see tree hyraxes. We don't actually see them out here too often, normally in camps. They are very cute. However, they're also sometimes a bit of a pain because they can make an incredible amount of noise. But we were staying at Camp Oloshaki and there was a very curious tree hyrax sitting in the gutter at breakfast the one morning. So there we go. That's the little tree hyrax. Cute little things. But they have a voice that is something horrible. They sound like someone being murdered, and they tend to do this between 12 and 3 in the morning, which can be quite frustrating. But that's what it is. Shouting, making lots of noise. Now I'm heading towards where I saw all those vehicles, wondering if it's lions. It could be rhino, of course, you never know. Whoa, bumpy. Okay, well, I'm going to speed off a little bit faster towards where all those vehicles are. See what's there. While we do that, let's go see where and what Jamie's up to.
I've taken the wrong road again. I've been on this road once before and I regretted it then and I semi-regret it now. I figure we might as well look for a leopard around here since we're here. The last time I was on this road was it with Dave? Yes, during our migration series last year. And it was about 12 o'clock at night. I'd lost the lions when I found myself forced to exit the vehicle after the effects of several cups of coffee made themselves known. And several bottles of water, and I lost the lions. It was about 12 o'clock at night and I was driving along this road and the radio goes, Jamie, 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 Jamie. It was Graham, desperate to find out what animal I had. and I had to tell him I didn't have one. And then, of course, he was watching my GPS of where I was going. Where are you going? Well, don't really know. It's pitch dark. I've been in the Mara for a month and a bit. I'm on a road going somewhere. That was the last time I was on this road. I don't think we ever did find lions that day in the end. Oh. It's a highly unpleasant road, and I'm seriously regretting going on it. Sorry, Faith, I don't know if you're trying to talk to me, I'm just getting beeps. As we attempt to make our way along this awful road, who knows, we might find a leopard. Let us send you back across to our crew in South Africa. Poor Tristan, he is not having a good time with cars at the moment, but I think he's up and running. Let's go and join him.
Now, we're sitting here with the herd of buffalo, so we've managed to come across the back end of these buffalo. They're just having a bit of a wallow and slowly moving off. The problem is that we seem as though we have a vehicle gremlin that is seriously causing havoc within the camp at the moment because, well, Rusty, as we know, is down from yesterday. Jigger decided he didn't want to start this afternoon, and now Wendy has now stopped starting too. So all three cars are not working at this stage, but I think this one is just an easy fix. I think it's just the remote that we need, which we were trying to use to fix Jigger. So I can't actually move too far, but our buffalo are sitting having a bit of a wallow. The rest of the herd has moved off. It's a really nice large herd. I can hear them all in the distance. It sounds like about, I would say, probably at least 200, maybe more. I know they were seen on the dam cam this morning, but it's difficult to get an exact estimate because, well, we're only seeing the tail end. They've been wallowing and kind of moving around here, but I can see and hear them very far from where we are. They're all in the thickets and kind of moving off, and so I wonder if we're not going to have a situation where we're going to get some sort of predator following them. It would be great if the Nkahuma Pride came back and kind of began to hunt these buffalo because, well, this is the first sort of indication of a herd of buffalo actually spending time. Jonathan, you're wondering if a female buffalo will adopt an orphaned calf? No, probably not. And in my experience, I've never seen one adopt a orphaned calf. Generally, what we see from them is that as soon as a calf is orphaned, it will try go towards mothers. And unfortunately for them, they just get completely shunned and they lose condition quickly. And then you'll get something like a lion or even a leopard or hyena that will come in and try and grab that little one. And so you'll have a situation where unfortunately they end up being killed. So they won't adopt them, and the reason why is that the only way that they would be able to adopt them is if they were producing milk. Now the only reason they'd produce milk is if they had their own little one, and that means that they're going to be very defensive of that little one. They're going to try and make sure that they keep that little one safe and fed, and so they don't have enough milk for two, and that's why you're going to have a situation where they're not going to do it. Now, interesting enough, these buffalo that are all getting out of this mud wallow, these are all females. Now normally you wouldn't see females right at the back of the herd like this because they always feel a little bit vulnerable, and it's interesting because all the females that have gotten out are pregnant. You can see they're all heavily pregnant, so I wonder if they're wallowing in the coolness of the mud just to try and kind of get a little bit of sort of, I don't know, maybe a bit of comfort, and because of these big swollen bellies that they've got, maybe it's just been a little uncomfortable in the heat, and so they've just stayed in the mud slightly longer while they've been pregnant. It's very interesting to see that. This one doesn't look as though it's too pregnant. It's not as pregnant as the other two, but might be a little one inside there. Now, I was looking on the dam cam earlier, and some of the pictures that everyone sent through to us and the screenshots that you guys took, and it looked like there was quite a number of little calves in there, which is always very, very cool to see. So nice to have little calves in and amongst the herd as well, and I think there's going to be a few more additions in the next few days. Now, unfortunately, our buffalo are leaving us, and well, we're going to be left high and dry for the meantime because Wendy's not going to go absolutely anywhere, so we're going to have to just sit here and wait very patiently for Jared to come get to us. And I'm sure once he gets to us with a little remote for the immobilizer, we'll be able to get going again and hopefully be able to follow this buffalo for a bit and see where they head off to. It sounds like they're heading towards Treehouse Dam. It would be wonderful to get them in a nice big open section because we'll hopefully then get all of them kind of together and we can actually get an idea of just how many there are. Right, now I'm not the only one out here in Djuma. I've said that we're battling a little bit with the cars, but James Henry is out on his feet and is ready to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon indeed. That was the beginning of our show with the small purple flower, which was very attractive. One of the hibiscus species, I believe. Judy H., if you are watching on the Saturday afternoon, it's not the same red colour as the last one, so I'm not sure if it's Macrantha or not. I'm sure you'll be able to find out. Hashtags for Live, if you'd like to talk to us, please. All the YouTube chat streamers, the other three have told you. And, of course, my name is James Hendry. Do you still have a strap for me or not, or is it gone? No answer. Oh, we do! And it's in and out. Good. Now, what we have over there is a pig. It's a very long distance pig. Can you see the long distance pig, Fergus? It's so long distance that Fergus can't even see it. Let's go a little bit closer. There's a little sounder of pigs there, warthogs. And they are not normally particularly confiding when we approach them on foot, but I think we should give this a go. I hope you're all enjoying the sort of post-TV lull that we're having now. I always feel like it's half pleasant and half difficult. You can't really have more than that half, so let's just say part pleasant, part difficult, part confusing once these TV series end and we go back into the regular rhythm of our daily shows. And the energy is just so completely different during these shows. It's not necessarily less or more, it's just very different. And I always find it a little bit difficult to adjust, and I'm sure some of you do too, some of our very regular viewers. Alright, those pigs seem to be pretty confident actually, so we might get a nice view of them. Now, Chris, you want to know if this is the same breed of warthog as is found in the Mara. Chris, there are two parts to that question. A breed, I suppose, is strictly the same species. So there are lots of different breeds of dogs. They're all exactly the same species. In other words, they're the same animal. And yet, you will find probably that the warthogs up in the Mara, and I don't know this for sure, I suspect they're probably a different subspecies from the one down here. In other words, although they look almost identical to these warthogs, they are less closely related than a Chihuahua is to an Irish wolfhound. That's quite something to think about, actually. And if we talk about the waterbuck, they are two different subspecies of the same species. And as far as I understand it, although they are, I mean, they could certainly interbreed in the same way that a Chihuahua and an Irish wolfhound could in theory interbreed, they are less closely related than those two animals, despite how similar they look. Alright, the pigs are now aware of us. Two youngsters watching us, deciding whether we are too close for comfort, whether they think we could catch them at this distance. I'm fairly sure we couldn't. Now hiding behind the little termite mound. I always feel a little bad now because they've been very peacefully grazing. And now I think, you know, we've sort of disturbed them. Should we back off? They don't know what to do. Should they run away? Should they stay where they are? And we've created a sort of sense of confusion. And I did not introduce you this afternoon, of course, to the man on camera today, and that is Fergus. Hello, Fergus. Hello, Peter. You're wondering how big the largest termite mound I've ever seen is. I think some of the ones around here are pretty big. I was asked this question the other day. Brent found one on Arathusa once, which is the reserve to the west of us, that... I mean, let's say it was half the size of this tree. Yeah, about half the size of this, a third the size of this big tree that we're now standing underneath. So it was massive. It was that high, and its circumference was probably, if you take the tree as the middle, its circumference would have been roughly this. And that's just the above ground circumference, so it would have been much bigger underneath. Absolutely massive. Alright, now these are... Oh, there's an elephant. Come over here, Fergus. A fairly substantial grey thing standing over there. Fairly large compared with the warthogs. This is such a wonderful time of year because all the elephants come to look for marula fruits to eat. You see them there? Very nice. Now Brent Smith has returned from his sojourn across the across the river after TV, and he is now back on the hunt for lions in the triangle.
Well, the hunt is over, but the lions are particularly lazy at this very moment. There's 3 members of the Triangle Coalition here, or the Chitwa boys, so 3 big adult male lions. Remember, this is coming to you live from Kenya. And hashtag Safari Live if you have any questions for us. So there we go, you can see hiding in the shade. So I don't think we're going to spend it too much longer here, as those boys are very, very flat. Now there could be some girls not too far away. Well, we can always hope that there are some lionesses. Marsh Breakaway Pride territory, so they could be up ahead. We are going to find out shortly. As I said, that's cat a day, so we had to show you one cat, even if it was a flat cat. Okay, well, let's move on and see what else lies ahead. Okay, so I saw another. Oh, look at that! There's Ellie over there as well, in amongst the trees. Hello, elephant. And quite a few Ellies there, browsing and grazing under the trees. We can hear some doves calling as well. Okay. Time to move on. Tommy would like to know whether I've ever been charged by an elephant. Yes, Tommy, quite a few times over the years. I've been charged by forest elephants and savanna elephants. But yes, I have been charged by Ellies. I've only been charged in the Mara once, and that was with Archie. That elephant really didn't like Archie's deodorant that day, and she came storming after us. Archie held his cool like a machine and managed to film the charge. It was a very strange one. It was very serious as well. We were watching a whole big herd of elephants that were very relaxed, and this one female came from very far away to chase us, and she chased us for quite a considerable distance. When I had to stop, bang the car, shouted her to try to stop her charging, but she did stop. But then she was running around like a nutcase. There was something that really upset her that day, and we're not sure what. So even after we got a big distance away from her, she continued to scream and trumpet and run up and down. Okay. Let's have a look what's around the next corner. Now that is not something you see every day. We've got a piglet by itself, which normally means mom might have been snacked upon. Little piglet. Shame, piggy. There we go, a little lone piglet. Now, could have been split when they were chased by lions, or, as I said, mom might have been eaten by lions. Or leopard. A little bite-sized snack, that guy. Just hang on. I saw something in the tree line where that pig was heading. Hopefully for that piggy, it's not the lionesses, but let's get there and have a look. We're just going to have a quick look before See if there are lions up ahead here. Doesn't look like it though. Okay. Piggy, you're safe for today. Maybe not tomorrow though. But while we continue on our endeavors, let's go all the way back down to South Africa to the man who likes to climb everything in front of him, trees or termite mounds, James Henry.
Hi again from the Sabi Sunt over here. Brent is, of course, having cat a day, which is his wont on a Saturday. It's very good. We are having warthog a day. I don't think that's a real thing. Same 3 little warthogs, and I don't know if any of you were watching the TV show the other day. When was it? It was yesterday morning, actually, when Hukamuri managed to eat a baby pig. And I think this may be the same sounder. I don't know why I think that, but there were 3 piglets in that sounder, and this little sounder's only got 2, which that sounder now has as well. Let's keep going. What I've done is come around the side of that elephant because the wind was not going to be in our favour. Now we're just going to go over the top of the ridge here and see if we can't get another view of him. There he is. We can already get a view of him. It doesn't often happen like that. Can you see him? We can just get his back just over the ridge here. There he is. Now, I think what we'll do, we need to get a little bit of height to get a better view of him. We'll just walk slowly closer. Wind is blowing basically due right to left from you in your screen. Noriko, you say, are they related to European wild boars? Elephants are not related to European wild boars. In fact, they are only related to hyraxes. I know you didn't mean that, Noriko. I know you meant the warthogs. They are related. They're in the same family. They're in the family called Suidae, but I don't think they're closely related enough to be in the same genus. So they're about as closely related as, say, lions are to house cats, if you like. It's probably the similar kind of relation. Same family, but they're certainly not able to interbreed with each other. Let's sneak up a little bit further on this fellow. I'm not joking about the elephants and the hyrax, by the way. The only animal in Africa that is related to the elephant is the tree hyrax and the rock hyrax, but they're very distantly related. Much more closely related, of course, are the elephants of Asia. Fergus, you see that little termite mound there? We can't hide behind that one, it's not big enough. But we'll go towards it and then stop there. The elephant bulls that we've been viewing the last few days have been very relaxed. And that's not to say we're going to take any chances. We're going to stay pretty much at this distance from it. We're not going to get any closer. They have seen us. Scarlett, I'm getting very muffled comms from the communications from Kenya. That's where we're directing this show from. But I think your question was, have any animals ever approached me on bushwalk? Is that correct? We had a really joyful experience with an elephant 2 days ago. In the afternoon, we stood on a termite mound. He came from a long way off. He saw us there, knew we were there, and he was very relaxed about it until he got to within about 10 meters of us. You don't really often want to be that close to an elephant. He was a youngish bull, so we weren't very worried, and we also had the advantage of the height. And he lifted his head up. He got a little irritated with us and then moved off. But, you know, he approached us as if to say, look, I'm not that worried about you, so I'll come certainly to within a certain distance of you, and then I'm going to move away. So, yes, that was one incident. Young leopards and wild dogs have both approached me on foot, and those rare occasions have just been very special. And they haven't approached from any sense of, with any threatening behavior. It's all been very kind of inquisitive and curious. And just in case you have just joined us, these elephants are eating marula fruits. That's why they're here. They're all over the ridge crests because that's where the marulas grow. David, my earpiece has now decided to give up the ghost, but I think I heard your question. You say, do ostriches occur in Djuma? In theory, yes. They do occur in the Kruger Park. Now remember, the Kruger National Park is 8.5 million acres, and that's including the bits that extend into Mozambique and north into Zimbabwe. But where we're sitting now, on our piece of land, which is about 3,700 acres or so, I've never seen an ostrich here. I have seen them on the open areas of Chitwa Plains where we used to traverse, which is sort of off to the eastern side there. They like more open clearings. And so they've definitely been seen on Djuma before. I've never seen one here. And I think, if you were to see one at Djuma, it would be on a clearing like this one. This elephant's just showing us his bottom. Let's go to this jackalberry tree and see if we can get a better view. Quickly check the wind. Wind is fine. Okay. Just spend a little bit more time with him here while I try and get us into a position where we can see something other than his derriere. We're going to go across to Jamie, who I think is driving.
Definitely driving. I am definitely driving. James is absolutely correct. I'm looking for the Olololo Pride and continuing our scouring of the various forested areas of the Mara. Seen a lot of grass recently. I'm quite keen to spend as much time close to trees as possible. I heard a rumor that the Olololos were up against the escarpment yesterday, so I'm just having a quick check around this area. It's where we see that skittish female leopard and the skittish male leopard, actually, and of course where the Olololos spend a lot of time. And actually, there's a lot of reasons to be on this road because this is where the rhino are as well. Well, that is absolute nonsense. That is where I have occasionally seen a rhino. Twice. In my time in the Mara. Let's be a bit more accurate in the statements that I present you with. I also always think of it as the road of the long claws. There's always a yellow-throated long claw, except of course now because I've said that. It's a type of bird that we see everywhere in the Mara, but especially on this road. Longclaw Lane is a good name for it, since they don't have names anyway. Dale. We've been talking about ostriches with James, who's out on foot. Dale is wondering where all the ostriches are. There's lots of them. You just have to get lucky where you see them. I've never seen them around here. Unfortunately, I've never seen the ostriches around here. There are a few more, I would say, on the other side of the river. How am I going to do this? I want to show you a kukul. But to do it, I'm going to have to move, and to do that, I think I'm going to, scare it away. It's in the tree there. It's just going to be a bit of a nightmare to film, but I couldn't possibly ask Adrian to film straight into the sun. Can you see it there? It's gone up a little. Up a little. There. Up further. There we go. There is the white-browed kukul. Lots of ostriches. They're more common where the grass is slightly shorter. And if we go a bit further into the southern part of the triangle, then we see quite a few more ostriches. My question is, where are all the ostrich chicks? Oh, listen, it's calling. Spoke over it, I'm sorry. Hopefully it calls again. Very similar to the call of the Birchall's kukul. One more time for us. It's a very pretty sound. You can hear the hammerkorps in the background. There we we go. It's a beautiful sound. How would you describe that? I wonder what the bird book describes it as. I don't have it with me, otherwise I'd do a literal reading of how the authors of the bird book describe the call of the Burchell's cuckoo. Not the Burchell's, the white-browed cuckoo. Very similar to the Burchell's cuckoo. Not cuckoo, by the way. Cuckoo. How would you describe it? It's almost like bubbles. Shakar says that the white-browed cuckoo's call is their favorite. I can understand why that may be. It's a beautiful call. It's, of course, often associated with rain, which is why the Burchell's cuckoo is known as the rain bird. It was said that it is predicting the rain. When you hear it calling, it is predicting the rain. It's just obviously more vocal in the rainy season. One more for us. Come on. One more. No. Not having it. Come on. There's viewers out there that love your call. Brenda, you saying how can the cuckoo predict rain? I'm sure that the birds and the animals pick up on changes in the pressure systems around the area. They probably pick up on the changes just as we do. The clouds darkening, the wind picking up. I don't know that they're predicting that it's going to rain, but animals are exceptionally sensitive to weather conditions, and they're probably more accurate than we are when it comes to, I guess, I've just said they don't predict, but I guess predicting what's going to happen or being aware of what is going on around them. I'm sure that they pick up on the changes if the pressure drops or whatever it happens to be. I'm sure that they pick up on it, but they call, the cuckoos don't necessarily just call before a rainstorm. They call after a rainstorm. They call during a rainstorm sometimes if it's not raining too hard and they're not too miserably tucked away underneath some shelter. So it's not so much predicting as it's just a call that is associated with the coming of the rainy season. But it has led to the idea that a Burchell's cuckoo can predict when it rains because people were hearing it call just before a rainstorm. I think animals are pretty aware of what's going on. I've seen elephants run away from where lightning strikes, although we know, of course, that animals do get occasionally struck by lightning, so they're not always aware of it. So sorry, I should have made that perhaps a little bit clearer. They're not actually necessarily calling because they're going, rain, it's going to rain. But it is around the rainy season because that's when they breed. So it makes sense for them to be more vocal. No. The Joy, who is wondering about the name cuckoo, the cuckoos are not brood parasites. So while there is a connection to the cuckoo in terms of evolutionary history, they are not brood parasites. The brood parasites out here are things like a cuckoo, any one of the cuckoos, but not a cuckoo. So they're not brood parasites. They are, however, as far as I remember, they're closely related to the cuckoo, but without being brood parasites. Okay, bye-bye, cuckoo. Hopefully the engine... There we go. Not too loud. Brood parasitism is an amazing thing. It's a fascinating way of approaching chick rearing. Just get someone else to do it. And so species specific. Whoa. There we go. I forgot how to drive quickly across to the world's best driver so that he can remind us all how it's done.
Ha 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 ha. All I know is I get stuck less than everyone else, and that is a fact. An undisputed fact. Out of everyone in the Mara, I have been stuck the least, and the times I was stuck was when the four-wheel drive wasn't working. So there were a lot of cars heading towards those male lions, so we decided to skedaddle out of that area and head up, see if we can find the Olololo Pride somewhere below camp. So it's still quite warm. Oh, that's quite an interesting one. Jared's buddy would like to know, can I explain the importance of mosquitoes when it comes to the circle of life apart from sucking blood? Well, the males don't drink blood at all, and they drink nectar, so they do pollinate certain plant species. The larvae are an important food source for water beetles and fish and birds, and so also the adults are also food source for birds. Reptiles, chameleons, frogs were also very important. So they fit in to the circle of life like a lot of other insects do. In terms of their disease capabilities, only these mosquitoes that can catch disease, and we'd say that is a controlling agent for human beings to keep human numbers from exploding, although we've done a pretty good job at exploding all by ourselves due to modern medicine. But yes, so they definitely, as irritating as they can be, are part of that interconnected, intertwined web that is nature. Like tsetse flies are evil, blood-sucking little monstrosities. Now, mosquitoes, of course, don't only suck human blood, they also suck animal blood. The females are certain animal species. Gorillas, chimpanzees, baboons. But they can be very, very irritating. Now, the interesting thing is Anopheles mosquito, the disease-carrying mosquitoes, family, don't buzz. So, how's that? So that you don't even hear them coming. There's no zzz around your ear. It is getting very pretty at the moment. But as we move away from the river into the longer grasses, we definitely are seeing less animals at the moment. But hopefully, well, that changes seasonally. But we're now in Olololo Pride territory. Maybe we'll spot a female peeking her head out of the long grass or sitting on top of a termite mound. They do also like to climb trees, so we can keep a close look in some of the trees, especially since it has been a warm day. Ben is wondering, did I encounter dangerous insects when I was in the Central African rainforests in Gabon? Yes, I did, and dangerous arachnids as well. So I got a very rare form of rickettsia, which is tick bite fever, from an elephant tick, filaria as well, filaria parasites. But yes, there are lots of nasty khokhos in the rainforests. Fortunately, none of them killed me, but I was sick for a little while. It's just such that moist humidity breeds lots of nastiness. Now, it's not actually the insects themselves, it's normally bacteria that is living within their saliva that causes the problems. While the filaria is a parasite itself that is hosted by horseflies. They become little worms. Certain filarias will attack the eye, either the lungs, either liver, kidneys. So it all depends on the type of filaria. But yes, fortunately while I was there was no Ebola, but there have been Ebola outbreaks before. Where we were just in the Congo, in Angama, one of the villages we went through actually had an Ebola outbreak of probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, in the Congo. But I don't worry too much about those things, especially people have mass panic about hemorrhagic fevers. But the thing is, they act so quickly that generally they can be contained very easily, and they have such a short lifespan in terms of how they kill their hosts. That's why it's not really something that sort of spreads beyond the areas. And quite a funny thing is actually it was one of the last Ebola outbreaks. When was that? About 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Before I was with Wild Earth, and a lot of us in the safari industry, we actually had a very difficult year due to Ebola and people's paranoia. I lost a huge amount of business that year, and try explain to people that where we were and the safaris were for South Africa and Botswana, and London was closer to the Ebola outbreak than the Kruger, but people can be very silly. And also, if you're flying to South Africa, there's you don't really stop off in the rainforest on your way down, so the chances of it getting to South Africa are very slim. It's far greater chance that it's going to go somewhere like Europe or America, because there are far more travelers going from that region to Europe and America than from Central Africa to Southern Africa. Mandy is wondering, are rainforests are what people refer to as jungles? Yes, Mandy. Indeed, that is correct. Ah, hello, birdie. They do like the spot, the black-breasted snake eagles. Or black-chested snake eagles, sorry. Right. There we go. They tend to roost quite often in these areas. Beautiful birds. Isn't that magnificent? So, snake eagles have specialized legs and very thick sort of scales on their skin to protect them from the snakes that they hunt. So it's quite difficult for them to bite through that thick skin on the snake eagle's legs. You can see that very sharp hooked bill. Beautiful birds. Oh, it sounds like I'm causing a traffic jam. So I am going to get on the move. While we do that, let's send you all the way back to South Africa with my good friend James Henry.
Hello again, everybody. Here we find ourselves now much higher up than we were when we last saw you. That elephant saw us and started coming towards us. I'm not sure why. It could simply have been that we were in his path, you know, towards his next field of marulas. And so we walked around and changed direction when we had some cover, and then we've come up onto an enormous termite mound here that would give us some sort of height advantage were he to press home some kind of irritated following of us. But so far he hasn't done that. I think he's found another marula tree sort of behind the thicket where yes, there he is. He's just coming out now. You see him there, Ferg? He's quite a long way away now, about 150 meters or so. Which is about 500 feet odd. Just shy of. Now what's interesting now is that he would be able to smell us. Well, this wind is quite strong and gusty. Maybe he wouldn't. But the wind is blowing towards him. And it is suddenly got up. And it feels, it smells like rain. Mia, you want to know what I would do if the elephant charged me? Well, the first thing I would do would be to run as far away from Fergus, the cameraman, as possible. He's carrying quite a heavy load, which means that the elephant would probably get to him then before it got to me, which would be very important, of course, because the presenter is the most important part of everything that we do here. I am, of course, talking rubbish. On many scores there. The presenter is probably the least important part of what we do here. Fergus is agreeing. What you need to do is assess whether it's a serious charge, is he coming to investigate you, or what's going on. The biggest thing to do with any animal out here that you feel threatened by is to increase the space between you. So all we did there was increase the space. We got behind cover and moved relatively quickly. We didn't run, we just moved relatively quickly so that the space increased between us, and if he was actually coming to try and find out what we were doing, he would suddenly find that the next time he saw us we were much further away than he expected us to be. And then we changed direction while we had some cover, so that he would be looking down there for us, and suddenly we were up here on the termite mound. Now, in the absence of decent cover, or in the absence of the ability to move away, because if an elephant really wants to find you and they come and they make a real effort to find you, it's difficult to, unless you are prepared to run, and unless you can run easily, which obviously we can't with all of the equipment we have here, then you need to seek height. And so we've sought height here, and we would just be waiting here to see what he did, and we'd be perfectly safe up here. So we're going to go back across to Jamie now. I believe she's got a buffalo with a tiny little baby.
Look at this, look at this, look at this. I was just driving towards a buffalo herd, and then I spotted this female off to the side. Look, she hasn't even, I don't even think she's fully managed to get rid of the placenta yet. Is that the umbilical cord still, or is that just discharge? She has just given birth to this little one. It's on its feet. So it has had time to learn to walk, and it does look like it's dried out a little bit. Oh, little one. Tiny newborn baby buffalo. Look at that. Is that the umbilical cord? It's still attached to Mum. I don't think she's got... I'm not sure, but I don't think that her placenta's actually come out yet. She hasn't delivered the placenta. It's okay, Mum. I had to stop exactly where I was. I didn't see it right up until the last minute. She must have given birth to this in the last... Oh, wobbles! In the last few hours. It's okay, Mum. And she's taking it back towards the rest of the herd. Well done, Mum. Healthy, happy little baby. It's very common for females to separate themselves from the rest of the herd when they do give birth. The herd tends to get caught up in the excitement of the smell of the hormones, and it can actually turn quite dangerous. I've seen it happen before, and other buffalo are not patient with a brand new little one. They often kick it and throw it into the air. So she's done a very sensible thing in separating herself. But now she's ready to return to the rest of them. Oh, little one. Wait up, Mum. Wait up. Still learning to use legs here. Wendy says an adorable new moo. An adorable new moo indeed. Welcome to the world, little moo. So cute. Mum seems to be fine. She's now feeding. She's grazing again. She's certainly earned her meal. Oh, Look at this little thing. Too sweet. I don't want to go any closer. Unfortunately, we can't. Otherwise, what we're going to do is probably frighten Mum. Although she'll be a lot more comfortable now that she's moved into the protection of the rest of the herd. Initially, when I first found her, she was lying down right, probably about 100 yards away from them. So now she's managed to move and she'll probably feel a bit more comfortable. Tsetse fly just bit me on the foot. Ow! Sorry. I'm sorry. I know it's a very sweet sighting, but it's like somebody just put a white hot piece of wire against my foot. Ow. Horrible creature. It's here because of the buffalo. It's okay. Alright, everyone. Panic over. Fortunately, I don't react to their bites at all. What were we talking about? The placenta. Sorry, Faith. I didn't hear whose question that was. Fiona. Fiona, you want to know how does the placenta come out? It's delivered in the same way with, obviously not, look, I'm speaking from a position of serious ignorance here in terms of actual experience, but as far as I know, it is delivered, it's through contractions that are probably slightly not quite as intense as the process of giving birth to the actual little one. And what I assume happened here is that she gave birth, little one fell down, the umbilical cord broke off, as is usually the case when a little one is delivered, whether it's a giraffe or a buffalo or an elephant, that umbilical cord is severed very quickly. I think that's what's still showing. So it's it does happen that can actually take a little while for the placenta to be delivered or to be pushed out by the female. I have heard, and correct me those of you who perhaps are either vets or you've been in a situation where perhaps you farm cows, whatever it happens to be. I have heard of situations where the placenta doesn't actually come out, and that can be quite dangerous because it's no longer, it's no longer attached to the part of the uterus, so it's no longer being supplied by blood vessels or anything like that, and it ultimately starts to decompose. Too cute. Well, there you go. What a lovely little surprise for our evening in the Mara. All right, let us go across and share some time on foot with an animal that is a great deal less dangerous to spend time with than a buffalo.
Here we have a herd of wildebeest, and they have done a remarkable job of looking after their little ones. Ooh, it's starting to rain. They've given birth to 5, and I think they've still got 5. we may have to can this segment fairly quickly, everyone. The rain has started to fall. From what, I don't know. I can't see any clouds that it should be raining from. Anyway, wildebeest here, sitting in the clearings very happily. We're going to have to call this quits. You're going to have to link away. Sorry, guys. We'll hand you back to the Mara now. Not sure who you're going to go with. We're going to have to run and turn this pack off. Okay, are we all fair? Let me know as soon as you can.
Here we go. Another beautiful giraffe with the shiny forest as a backdrop. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? You can't really beat the Mara vistas. I've travelled all over Africa, many places, and there is something very spectacular about these Mara views. Quite nice to just sit quietly for a second and just take in the evening silence almost. You can hear some birds. Hear some starlings. But it is beautiful here this evening. Isn't that stunning? See a little stumpy tail, probably from hyenas, removing her tail. Difficult to say, but it definitely happened quite a long time ago. Anna is wondering, do giraffe make any contact calls whatsoever? Not normally, Anna. They're very quiet. They probably rely quite a bit on visual communication, rather, taking visual cues from each other. But no, they don't make any. Oh, what's that? Verbal or. Oh, it's flown. Oh, looked like it's disappeared. There was. I'm not sure exactly what it was. I didn't get a good look before it took off. I think it looked like a chat. I'm not sure which chat. Probably the sooty chat. We had sooty chat, northern ant-eating chat, and familiar chat are the three most common chats in the Mara. Not sure. No. Now we were way down there with the lion, so right near the edge of the Mara River. You see that? Back to the right. No, you're right. You're right. Arch left. And then if you zoom there, there's a tree island. And a little bit to the right. There, that tree island, the second tree island yes, the second tree island in the distance, the one just before the forest. The lions were just before that little tree island there. It is incredible that we can see such long distances. We can see the herd of buffalo that Jamie was looking at a little bit earlier. We can see Jamie. And there the buffalo are there. And there's Jamie. Okay, well, I'm going to send you on board with Jamie. There, who's waving at us right now.
I was waving at you indeed to try and get you back here as quickly as possible so that we could share the last view of this lovely new addition to the Masai Mara, enjoying what looks like. It looks like it's having a little bit of a drink. Is it? Oh no, maybe not. Typically buffalo calves will feed, well, there we go, that's it. I was about to say, rather than from the side, they tend to go behind their mothers and suckle from there. Puts them right in a good spot if mum ends up defecating on them, because of course they can actually they can get some of her useful antibodies, or at least some of her probiotics, through that whole process of coprophagy. So it's not a disaster if mom does end up defecating on their heads, and they usually suckle from the rear there. So I don't think there's too much of a problem with this female buffalo. We'll check up on her tomorrow morning if this herd is still around. I think, sometimes, as far as I know, again, speaking from relatively limited experience, as far as I know, it can take a while for the placenta to be delivered. So it's not necessarily a case that she's retained it. It might just be taking a while. I think it can take up to a few hours after birth. Okay. Bye-bye, little buffalo. You are very sweet. Yes, you have a jolly good drink there. Well done. With your wobbly legs, we need to go. We did not take any rangers with us this evening, which means that we have to try and hit the gate on time. No late nights for us, for now. That was such a nice way to end off our Mara safari. Scarlett, it depends on the situation. So Scarlett's wondering what we do between drives. In the Mara, I find there's very little time. If we can, we do some exercise. We do some reading, especially if we've encountered something that we don't know or that is very interesting. A lot of the time we're caught up doing stuff. Somehow it just happens. For example, up in the camp, obviously we've got Faith, who's been largely running the camp, but sorting things out as they happen, as cars break, kitchens, something happens in the kitchen, food orders, all of those sorts of things. And we also sleep. Right, so we do also try and catch up on sleep if we've had a couple of late nights. It's very difficult to do though, sleep in the middle of the day. Now, I'm going to start losing signal very shortly, and unfortunately I have to tell you that that is the end of our sunset safari. We're going to be closing the show. Apparently it is pouring with rain in Djuma, so that will bring to the end our sunset safari. It's great for Djuma. I'm really happy that they're getting some rain. They really need it. It's always a good thing. But unfortunately it does mean that the crew has to head home early. I'm sure they're going to be utterly devastated after the celebrations of yesterday evening. Okay, now we have a very long conclusion. I'm going to stop where Brent stopped, I think. Otherwise I might just lose signal. There's some more buffalo for the end of our safari. Otherwise I will disappear off your screen sooner than expected. Here we go. So some buffalo to end off our safari. Thank you so much everyone for joining us. I do hope that you have had fun. Join us tomorrow for the sunrise safari. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing or what we're going to see, but that's half the fun of the entire thing. And a big thank you to the Mara and the Djuma teams as well. Of course, it is always wonderful. We do miss you guys terribly. It's never the same. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you in a few short hours.